everyone, Blair from Watches on Broadway here, just bringing you another video instalment on some of the slightly less usual jobs that we get to do. Today I'm going to show you how we take the movement out of a Longines Grande Classique ladies watch, because we're going to do a service on this one. If you have a look closely, you'll see that the front of the watch is quite wide and the opening at the back is narrow, very tapered back on this. The movement won't actually come out the back, so we've got to take it out the front. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get this strap out of the way, or this bracelet. Just pop that out of there, pop that out of there. Now I'm going to get up, just follow me, because I'm going to put this in the ultrasonic tank. Just going to clean that while we're doing the rest. I would turn the tank on, but it'll make so much noise you won't be able to hear me talk. So, let's go back to the bench. So now we've got 6 screws on the back of this watch. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to have to take them all out. This probably doesn't make for a very interesting video, so I'm going to talk inanely over the top while I do that. Okay, so screws are undone. And you see they've got quite a distinctive case back seal in the Longines here. So I now have to take the crown out of the watch, find a little dimple, put my tweezer point in, and I can remove the crown. There we go. That's the crown, and this long piece here is called the setting stem. I'm going to pop that aside for a bit. Then I'm going to put the case back on. Carefully do up these screws. You've got to be very careful with these screws when you're doing the putting the case back on. They're very narrow, very thin, vine threaded, and it's very easy if you do them up quite tight to snap the heads off them. So after I've cleaned this case, when I'm putting it all back together, I'll be using Loctite on the threads and not over torquing them, because the last thing you want to do is end up with 1 or 2 or even more screw threads snapped off inside the case. Okay, just making sure there's even tension around there. Right, case back's on. We've got ourselves a little hole in the side of the case here. Now, as I understand it, the approved Longines method of doing this is to put a syringe up to the side of the case. I don't have that syringe, but I do have my little air gun, which I use for blowing dust off parts and all manner of other things. So what I'm going to do, I've got the watch on this felt pad, glass down. I'm going to put this nozzle up to the pipe and pop out the glass. Like so. At that point we can separate the glass from the gasket. Now, quite often this gasket here is cracked and needs replacing. This one actually looks to be in very good condition, so we might reuse that. I'll have a closer look at it under the scope and see whether I should reuse it or not. Otherwise I've got some in a drawer there. The movement now comes out of the case. Got this little plastic. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. My phone ran out of space. I had to cull some of the 1200 odd photos on there to shoot another video. Anyway, while you were waiting, I've just taken the back off this watch. I've put the screws in my little T-strainer here, otherwise they can and will get lost. Those will go in the ultrasonic. We've got the case back gasket, which I'm going to put in this silicone grease pad. Seem to have collected a few seals in there. This one will stay in there, lubricating until it's ready to go back into the watch. I am just quickly going to show you how I take the hands off the watch. So it's just, I probably should be wearing finger cots, but I'm not, so naughty me. to put the stem back into the watch. Click that into place. I'll take the battery out about now. Put that over there for a bit, and reach down in here. I think this one's the right stump for this. Yep, got a nice stump for holding the movement safely. Line the hands up. Use my very scientific piece of Ziploc bag, which actually works better than most of the professional tools you buy for this sort of thing, to protect the dial. And we've got hand levers on here, which will, a little bit tough to do without getting up close. Working at arm's length isn't ideal. Get that right under and just push. There we go, that's off. Hands off. And take the movement off the dial as well. In this case, it uses two screws with little flats on them. Turn the flats towards these little, what are called dial feet, and it should, if I can get enough purchase on it, just lift off. There we go, moving off. Nice little stains on the back of the dial, probably from a leaky battery at some point in time. Acid tends to etch and discolour things, so that won't be an issue by the time it goes back together. Alright, there we go, the watch is apart. I'm not going to film taking the movement apart because it'll just bore you even more. Maybe we'll do another one when we put it back together, case the movement up. Cheers, see you then. Okay, it's a new day. I've done the overhaul, and the bracelet and the case are clean on this watch. If you come in and have a quick look. I've put the movement in, I've put the crown in, and I've put the little glass gasket in, and if we flip it over you'll see that the movement there. I've not put the back on yet. Before I do that I have to refit the glass. So I'm just going to make sure that there is no dust in there, because that's the last thing you want, is to have any dust left in a watch. And I'm going to clean the inside of the glass for exactly the same reason. And then, if you follow me, I've got the glass press set up. I've already pre-selected the dies I want on this. So the lower one is going to rest on the nice flat section of the case where all the screw holes go in. And then fitting the glass, drop that in. And then very carefully lining this so that the die goes around as close to the outside of the glass as possible, and then I'm just pushing that down. Just going to turn that around because this fancy Swiss tool is not 100% straight, and that glass is in. So I won't bother showing you sticking it all back together because you've seen me do that already, but for all intents and purposes this watch is done. Just thought you might like to see how we do the glass on these ones.